walking and rushing mad like inside the dark, call me Bill Snatcher. Just a brother for the rapture. I hang live, holding on strong, hard to capture. Extravagant, resurrect the track and it's militant. And I react like a gauntlet and start killing. It's manifesting. The God's work like appliances, dealing in my psyche.
In the world of Naruto, there exist dozens upon dozens of Kekkei Genkai. As soon as you mention the words Kekkei Genkai, the immediate thoughts of a lot of people are the more famous Kekkei Genkai like the Sharingan, the Byakugan, and stuff like Ice Release. However, not all Kekkei Genkai are the same, and some are more powerful than others, and some are more useful than others, which is why the Kekkei Genkai I'm going to be talking about today fascinates me so much, which is going to be Lava Release. And that's what I'm going to be covering in today's installment of the Kekkei Genkai Handbook, which is a playlist on this channel where I break down everything Kekkei Genkai related to the various jutsu, to some of the lesser known lore, to some of the explanations that you might have missed watching or reading the Naruto franchise. So any Kekkei Genkai that belongs to the main character of the series has to be a pretty big deal, right? Well, Lava Release is actually more underrated and undervalued than it should be in this fandom, and I'm going to prove that in this video. For as many people who will bring up characters who get a bad reputation for being weak and they just happen to have Lava Release, like the 5th Mizukage Mei of the Mist Village, you also have characters like Naruto, who is an absolute monster when it comes to how he uses the jutsu and how Naruto could have used the jutsu with a variation of Lava Release that Naruto has not used but does have the ability to use. So what exactly is Lava Release and why do I think it's so underrated? Well, like all Kekkei Genkai, it's a bloodline ability that you are born with, unless you're Naruto and you have Four Tails Chakra inside of you, which allows you to use the Kekkei Genkai. So by combining Fire Release and Earth Release, a shinobi is able to use Lava Release. However, unlike other Kekkei Genkai like say Ice Release or the Byakugan, where it's pretty consistent in terms of appearance, Lava Release actually varies depending on who's using the jutsu, which is actually one of the more aesthetically cooler aspects of this jutsu. And speaking of aesthetics, it would not be right for me to not mention hands down the coolest variation of Lava Release that we've seen so far in the series, which also happens to be a version of the Kekkei Genkai that Naruto's never used. Due to the fact that Naruto has the Kekkei Genkai for Lava Release via the Four Tails Biju Chakra inside of him, this means that Naruto should be able to use the variation of Lava Release that Roshi used, in particular Edo Tensei Roshi, who fought against Naruto, which means that he should be able to coat his entire body in Lava Release Chakra, which is basically a whole Lava Release Chakra mode, which is really insane to think about because on top of the punches hitting harder, they should also burn at the heat level of lava. Now, this isn't stated in any of the data books, but I would assume that just as the 3rd and 4th Raikage use Lightning Release to amp up their speed and their attacks via the Lightning Release Chakra Cloaks, I would think that Lava Release Chakra Cloak would beef up your destructive force of Naruto's attacks. Think about it. Molten lava covering your body, burning between 1500 degrees Fahrenheit and 2200 degrees Fahrenheit, that also happens to be condensed chakra. Those attacks would hit like crazy, which, as a side note, lava doesn't kill you right away. It burns like crazy, but the longer you're in contact with it, the more damage it does, the more significant the burns are going to be. And obviously, if you fall into a pit of molten lava, you are going to die. However, some of you guys might be asking, well, if Roshi did it, why didn't Naruto use it against Kage and Jigen? So the first thing I would say is that Naruto took those punches, so Naruto is aware of what that level of destructive output is. The other thing I would say is that I'm going to be using the statement that Kurama made in the War Arc about the power system of the Biju, where he stated that the number of tails equated to the amount of power that they had, and I think that Naruto's fight with Kaguya actually kind of proves this. So when Naruto was trapped in the ice dimension, trapped by Kaguya's attack, Lava Release Chakra mode would have been really handy in that situation. Naruto could have melted the ice, and he also would have gotten the power amp needed to break free, yet Naruto had the choice between that and Boil Release's amp, and he chose Boil Release. Also, he had all of the Biju inside of him him. They all could have weighed in on the solution, give a option for him to get free, but it was the Five Tails who said, hey, you need to use my power to break free, which it can be argued means that that power wouldn't be there to not only break free of the ice, but also push back Kage's attack if he would have used the Four Tails chakra mode instead, because that would also explain why Naruto, on top of his 6-pass Sage mode, QB chakra mode power up, in either fight, Naruto never stacked that power on top of it. Because if the Boar release amp was not going to be enough to close the gap, why would he use an even weaker version of a power up against Kaguya, or attempt to use it against Jigen or Ishiki, whose power gap was even larger? However, let's get back to Lava release. So sticking to the visual aesthetics portion of the conversation, with this Kekkei Genkai, we've got some really interesting stuff to look at here, pun intended. As previously stated, depending on the user, it's going to take on a different appearance. Now, you'd obviously think that Lava release will look how it does when Roshi, the former Jinchuriki of the Four Tails in Naruto, uses it. It would take on the appearance of something like that. Molten rock that has that hardened yet liquid appearance. However, as previously stated, the jutsu will kind of vary depending on the user. So for instance, the 5th Mizukage, when she uses the jutsu, it takes on the appearance of an acid mud-like substance, very similar to how Boro used the jutsu when he fought against Team 7, though it's worth noting that in the Naruto Shippuden anime, the appearance of her lava release has bounced back and forth between being an acid mud-like appearance to being lava-like in appearance. However, she isn't the only one that changes the physical appearance of her lava release jutsu. So when you look at the current Tsuchikage in the Boruto era, she also has a Kekkei Genkai, and when she uses it, it's taking on more than one appearance. So in the Boruto era, she has a darker color when she uses the Ash Jutsu that she used against Kinshiki, and when you look at Naruto Shippuden, when she fought against Kabuto, it took on that whitish appearance of quicklime, which for those of you guys who do not know what quicklime is, I'm going to give you a very quick explanation, which is quicklime is basically calcium oxide made from the thermal decomposition of limestone and seashells. The temperature can reach over 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, which for everybody else outside of America that uses Celsius, that's going to be 830 degrees Celsius for that comparison. Now, when we get to the Cloud Ninja named Dodai, who uses the lava release, it takes on the appearance of basically being rubber, which according to the Sasuke Shinden, the Book of Sunrise novel, that's actually a common form of lava release in the Hidden Cloud Village. To be more specific, it's a common form of lava release amongst certain members who support the Raikage. Now, for those of you guys who need a reminder, Dodai was somebody who was a Cloud Jonin who worked very closely directly underneath the Raikage and would train the future candidates for the B position of the A and B tag team. His usage of lava release is actually really impressive, from the ability to make rubber walls to rubber balloons to being able to use it well enough that it allowed him to absorb a great amount of the damage that came from Madara's giant meteor that he summoned. What's also impressive about this is that outside of Naruto and outside of Four Tails Jinchuriki Roshi, he is the only shinobi who is able to use the Kekkei Genkai in a way that does not require him to spit it out of his mouth. Naruto just instantly molds it with his Rasen Shuriken, whereas Dodai can generate it from any portion of his body, much like he did in Naruto chapter 554, where he slams his hands onto the ground and is able to create lava release wall in an attempt to try and stop the third Raikage from attacking. Now, to explain why his lava release is so drastically different than every other shinobi who's used it, we don't have an official answer, but I'm going to give you guys an answer that I haven't seen anyone talk about his lava release gift, which is evolution. Now, I know some of you guys are like, wait a second, how does evolution even fit into this? So the reason I bring this up is that based off of some of the supplemental information that we have about the Naruto universe, when it comes to the 5 great nations, whatever element that they're named after, it tends to be the predominant chakra nature in their land. So for the land of lightning, most of the shinobi would have lightning release. So in that Sasuke Shinden in the Book of Sunrise novel, it makes it a point to state that village leadership tended to have someone that had lava release, and every Raikage that we've seen so far happens to have a strong affinity for lightning release, to a point where the lightning release is downright scary in terms of their destructive capabilities. So using lava release as a way to create rubber that can insulate the Raikage's lightning release jutsu, that would explain why that statement exists, because you know the Raikage for the most part have had a quick temper. That's really the only explanation that I can think of as to why his version of lava release has that rubber appearance and why it changes into rubber so quickly. Basically evolution, you need it for survival. Now moving back to lava release in general though, the most widely used version of the jutsu is the version where everyone's attack attacks gives off that hardened yet liquid appearance of being molten lava. However, Naruto's usage of lava release remains to be the most impressive because obviously he split the God Tree with it. However, this is even more insane than I've seen people mention. Now, we all know the durability of the God Tree. I'm not going to waste your time going over something like that, but the Rasen Shuriken and that lava release version of it is really insane for this following reason. So we all know that the Rasengan is considered to be one of the highest forms, if not the highest form of changing chakra shape, with changing chakra shape being chakra control that controls the size, range, and potency of the chakra, and the Rasen Shuriken adds a enormous amount of wind chakra nature to the jutsu, which in of itself requires an enormous amount of chakra to pull off. Now, you take Naruto, who's already using an enormous amount of chakra to do the Rasen Shuriken, but he's also simultaneously adding lava release right on top of it. So Naruto's using a Kekkei Genkai of two separate chakra natures simultaneously while using the Rasen Shuriken. He has a whole lava nucleus with wind blades that are literal steam and is strong enough to cut the God Tree with the attack. That's really impressive chakra control there by Naruto, as well as destructive output. Now, under most circumstances, every other form of lava release that we have here is going to be pretty hard to follow up to a lava release chakra mode or the lava release Rasen Shuriken. However, I think we have a pretty worthy follow-up right here. So when you look at the other version of lava release that the 4th Tsuchikage and Boruto can use, you have to go back to the Naruto Shippuden War arc where she and other shinobi in the alliance used lava release, and they created that quicklime-like substance that was able to literally hold the 10 tails in its place, which is an absolute feat in of itself. However, that's pretty much it when it comes to lava release. I started to go really in detail on lava release and break down all the applications of all the various jutsu, which is a quick note. There's actually more lava release jutsu than just, oh, I'm gonna spit this lava out my mouth. There's actually quite a few lava release jutsu. That's easily a 10 to 12 minute video, and I did not want to make this a 20-minute video, so I'm gonna be breaking that up into a separate video. However, if you have other Kekkei Genkai that you want me to cover in the Kekkei Genkai handbook, leave your suggestion down in the comment section below, and if I like it enough, I'll turn it into a video. But so always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share, and don't forget to consider watching some of these other videos you're going to see on the playlist right now.